This video is about edit data shortcut keys. Did you know there are a series of shortcut keys available in the Edit Data dialog to speed up data entry? Let's step through them. In the application in a moment, I'm going to show you the general keys, such as the arrow keys and tab, the home, end, page up, page down buttons, and also delete. We'll talk about a series of F keys, Alt F4, which is a combination of the Alt and F4 key. Then we're going to look at control keys relating to dates. So without further ado, let's take a look in the application. So here I am in the Edit Data dialog, and the first thing you should be aware of is where you are focused. Have you clicked over in the grid, or is the focus over in the tree? Because the keys will behave differently depending on whether you're working in the tree or the grid on the right. So let's start over here in the grid. I can use the arrow keys on my keyboard to move right with the right key and left with the left key. I can also move down and I can move up. So using those arrow keys to navigate through this grid. Similarly, I can use the tab key and the shift tab key to return to the left. So tab to the right, shift tab to the left. Page up and page down jump me within this screen. If it's a long record like this time log one is, I might need to page down a few times to get to the very end and page up a few times to get to the very top. The end key takes me to the far right of the record, and the home key returns me to the first column of that record. If I select a row and I click on the delete button, it will ask me if I do in fact want to delete that record. Now I mentioned it's different if you're focused over on the folder side, so I'm going to click on time log, and now when I use my arrow keys, see how I move through the folder. So up and down moves me through the folder. My left button jumps me up to that parent record. So if I click left again, it's going to go up to the job. Okay, and I can use right to step back and down to step through the folders. Okay, so you need to be aware of where you are highlighted in the tree or in the grid. Now let's talk about the F keys. F1 launches the online help. F2 launches a library, any type of library. So if I click into this cell, for instance, and I hit F2, I'm going to see the Wellbore selector pops up. If that was a date field, so if I go down to the daily operations folder and I click F2 in this cell, it's going to pop up the calendar. If it's a library list and I click F2, it's going to pop up the library. If it's a comment block and I hit F2, it's going to pop up that editor where I can type in my commentary. So F2 always launches the library, no matter what that library is. Another short key is F5, which runs your calculations. So you're going to see your green fields populate, same as hitting that Run Calcs button. F7 is spell check. So if I click over here in summary where I see some text and I run F7, it actually runs through spell check for that particular cell. A few more tricks. Alt F4 is actually going to close the Edit Data dialog. So that is the same as save and exit. And a tip here, Control E is a way to launch the Edit dialog. So that was Alt F4 to close the Edit Data dialog and Control E to relaunch it. Now speaking of control keys, one that is super handy is Control A. Control A, so I hold down the Control key and I hit A on the keyboard, selects all of the records. This is one I use all over the place. If I was in the AFE, for instance, and I wanted to highlight all of these records at once, I would simply do a Control A to select them all. Control J, I think of this as Control Jump. It actually lets me jump from the tree, so now the focus is in the tree, to the grid. So if I hit Control J again, now you'll see the focus is over in the grid. So Control J takes me from the grid to the tree and from the tree to the grid. Control M, as in mode, is also very handy. That flips this from vertical to horizontal mode. So Control M does the same thing as this change view button. That's Control M as in mode to switch from horizontal to vertical and back. Some tables are what we call sequence tables, and this AFE cost breakdown is an example of that. A sequence table is one where you can change the order by moving records. If I hit Control I as an insert in a sequence table, that's exactly what will happen. It inserts a row. I'm going to highlight that row and click on Delete to remove it. So that was Control I for insert. Now when it comes to dates, here's another really nice trick. So there are date fields all over the model, as you know. Lots of date fields to populate. I'm going to switch mode here and we're going to find a date cell. Okay, so I could use F2 to launch that calendar and navigate through to find the date. Or I can use these shortcut keys. Control T is today. So it puts in today's date with the time as 0. Control T for today. Control N for now. So you will see that it is the current date and time. So that's Control N for now. Control Y for yesterday's date. Control T for today, Control N for now, and Control Y for yesterday. So when I am populating current data into WellView, I use those shortcut keys all of the time.